Hi, I'm Lori Campbell, welcoming you to another great episode of Education, a Higher Calling, where we delve into the lives of scholars, professors, students, working professionals, and even those who want to get a higher education but don't know how. By committing to finishing their degrees and focusing on their goals, these individuals excelled in their fields. But more than being successful in their careers, these people understood something even more significant: the importance of higher education in fulfilling their divine calling in life.
My wife and I got married after our first year of college, and you know, we were young kids. We, looking back, think, what were we thinking? But a year after we were married, she was diagnosed with cancer of the spine. And here we were trying to go through school, barely existing on what little money I could make, you know, part-time and full-time, doing radio and speaking at churches. But it was through that experience, I think, that God really deepened us and taught us that no matter what the circumstances around us, He never leaves us and He never forsakes us. But you know, when you get to the place where He's all you got, you find out that really is true.
I have all these voices in my head. You know the type that chatter and tell me things like, you can't do it, you're too old, you're not the right person, somebody else can do it better. Those voices are so loud sometimes. But what voice do we listen to? I mean, what is the one that informs us and helps us to make the decisions that we make? Is it the voice of insecurity? Is it the voice of doubt? Is it the voice of somebody who spoke to us in our past that didn't care about us? We have God's word, and I'm so glad He has it down in black and white, because His word is always speaking and we can look at it. And you know what God's voice says? He says that you are His beloved. He says that you are the crown of creation, that you can do anything through Him. That is the voice that I want to listen to, because that is the voice that leads us into new adventures, that says, I have a path and a plan for you that surpasses anything you could possibly imagine. What voices are you listening to? Do you know the voice of God? His is the voice that calls us beloved and invites us to a life of adventure and fun. And those other voices, they'll probably still chatter from time to time, but we know which voice we're listening to.
Do you know that one of the fastest growing degrees is in park, recreation, leisure, and fitness studies? According to the U.S. News and World Report, during a 10-year period, the number of students earning degrees in this major jumped 92%.
Well, I'm sitting here at Victory University in San Diego with Maggie. She's an enrollment advisor here. So Maggie, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you here.
It's such a blessing.
So tell me about your job. What's your career here?
So I'm that first voice, you know. I call and they're like, how'd you know? I wanted to go to school. I just know.
The Holy Spirit told me, gave me your number.
So I'm the first voice. I'm the enrollment advisor. So I get them started, talk about their motivations, why do they want to go to school, you know, and what's also keeping them from wanting to go to school, what's kept them from the past, you know, overcome those hurdles and, you know, get started. So I go through transcripts, enrollment documents, and I tell my students, you know, I want to stay with them. I want to be able to see them at graduation. I let them know 4 years from now, I'm going to be in the stands with that blowhorn just cheering you on.
Nice.
So
what made you decide to have this career?
I actually had a friend who I worked at a previous company. It was a medical billing company, so it was pretty intense, but she's like, you know, I'm going into education, you should go in. I'm like, I can't do that job, you know, I don't have a degree, I don't, you know, I just can't do it, you know, I don't know if I can. So, you know, started working on my degree, and lo and behold, you know, got my resume and got in, so super excited.
Wow, so what made you decide to be an enrollment advisor? Why not, you know, a nurse or something? Like, what made you choose that as your avenue?
I really wanted to be a nurse. You know, at one
Really?
point, I wanted
Totally
to go.
said that.
Yes,
So
I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to be a police officer, a
Oh, yeah,
judge, everything.
Yeah.
And when I came into this position, and I stepped in, and I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do for life. I love touching these students' lives and being that life changer and saying, I'm going to walk with you. We're going to hold hands, and we're going to get through this together.
Nice. We talk about that so much on the show, because people who are just on the outside of education and wondering what if, could I, would I, should I, you know, they often have the idea that they're going to be by themselves and they're going to have to navigate this huge educational institution alone, and that's not how it is, because there's people like you that walk with them and hold their hands through the whole thing. That's so awesome, and I hope that people who are watching this show realize that there are Maggies out there and that they're not going to be alone.
My current students still love you guys. I want to see you at graduation. Be there.
Yes, yes. So when you first took that step into education, how did your enrollment counselor help you?
I did have an enrollment advisor I called into, and I said, look, I want to get started, and he just kind of ran through the basics of what's required, and I kept getting those phone calls, when I was my grades were kind of going down, and he's just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I wanted to go to the movies with my friends and skip, my test, sorry, but he kept me going. He kept giving me motivational emails just to keep me going, and that's what I do for my students. I want to let them know that they can keep going no matter what.
Hi, my name's Lynn Stokes, and I'm an attorney and a commercial real estate broker, and I would not be where I am today if it was not for my education.
Hi, and welcome to the Q&A segment of Education, a Higher Calling. I'm Kayla. Question: what do colleges like better? Your choices are A, get an A grade in a regular course, B, get a B in an AP course, C, get a D in all courses except for English. Try to guess the answer and I'll be back to reveal it.
Hi, I'm Bill Alexander. Success in college can come in many forms. For some students, it's strictly the dean's list and a stellar transcript leading to graduate school. For other students, college success might mean just as much what happens outside the classroom as inside. Here is some good advice for how to approach your college experience. First of all, explore. Push yourself to be open to new ideas and new experiences. Take classes in a subject you never studied. Follow a passion that doesn't relate to your major. Join a club or an organization that mixes you up with people that are different from you. Second, be open to change. For example, you might want to become a doctor, and then through your courses in gross anatomy, discover that you have a love for marine biology. That is a part of the college experience. Many students change their major and find purpose in something they never dreamed of. And through it all, remember to stay balanced. College can be overwhelming. While you're focused on juggling assignments and lectures and labs, you mustn't let the other parts of your life slide. Take care of your health, exercise, and eat a balanced diet. And most importantly, nurture relationships. Protect your downtime. Remember, success in college means becoming the whole person that God created you to be. You're much more than your degree. I'm Bill Alexander, and I hope that the Lord gave you some new insight from this how-to moment. Until next time, goodbye.
Welcome back to the Q&A. The question was, what do colleges like better? Your choices were A, get an A grade in a regular course, B, get a B in an AP course, or C, get a D in all courses except for English. And the correct answer is, of course, A, get an A grade in a regular course. While an A in an AP course is important, grade point average remains more important for college admissions.
I'm Clive. I was born in Jamaica. Growing up in Jamaica, it was, not easy. My parents had it very rough, hard, trying to make sure we have a good education. I could remember the days when going to school, we did not have, lunch per se. But they make sure that we go to school and we have at least dinner when we get home. So it was a struggle for us to really get a good education. But my parents, they work hard to make sure that we at least have something to move on to further in life. In their case, I remember my great grandmother, she couldn't read or write. You know, I remember that. But my mom could. You know, she did not go to high school. She, you know, she just maybe had maybe a couple of years of, you know, what we call back home primary education, which it didn't take you too far. But at least they work hard to make sure that we did have some kind of higher education, you know, went to high school and all that. The name of the school, high school, was New York High School. It was a struggle to start with, but you know, after my peers got us grounded and we kind of start understanding that if we don't work hard, you know, and you know, try to get a good education, we would not really get too far. You know, we have all the family members who didn't go to school, you know, and if you look back at, you know, what they did, they was like, didn't get too far at all, you know. They were really struggling to survive, and you know, so education was a very, very important, you know, factor in my family. You know, my last 2 years of school, you know, we have to decide on, okay, what direction we want to go into, you know, what we want to be, a preacher, or a doctor, or a lawyer. My whole thing, I wanted to be a chef. And how that came about was, you know, growing up, like, you know, going to church, you know, you know, every Sunday my parents dress us and, okay, it's time to go to church. Again, growing up, there was a lot of challenges, you know, there were things that, well, you know, I go to church, fine, but as a kid growing up, I want to be adventurous. So I would sneak out of church and, you know, but we'll get punishment. I would be punished by the time I get home. But I found a way how to take that punishment away, because I would go home and I would start making dinner, because things that I learned from my mom. And for the first couple of months, they still would punish me, whatever, but they stopped punishing me because they started enjoying the meal that I went home and, you know, tried to make for them.
This is Rachel White, Associate Director of Public Relations at Azusa Pacific University, and I wouldn't be where I am today without my education.
Listening to God when it comes to your education, you know, you also want to make sure that you understand a lot about yourself, right? So ask yourself, what are you good at, right? Because a lot of times some people will say, I'm not good at anything. I don't know how God is going to use me. So really look at your strengths. What are you interested in? What is your passion? And ask God to lead you to people that can help you discipline whatever talent or whatever passion that is, because education is partly a lot about discipline, disciplining your talent, disciplining your passion, having structure, and, you know, be proactive when it comes to what you ask God for. So if you're asking God to make a way for you to be able to go to college, then have a game plan and do research to make sure that happens. And you'll see God unfold in more ways than just being an audible voice. You'll see people that He puts in your paths and make sure that happens.
Did you know that the U.S. News and World Report found that only 9% of students attend flagship universities and other state institutions that conduct intensive research?
Wow, you have just been on an incredible journey from the beginning. So what role has faith and prayer led in your overcoming all this?
Prayer is a big part of my life. Even growing up, you know, with my father being the way he was, we still went to church, at least 3 times a week. You know, we always helped the church out with bulletins, you know, folding papers and sticking them up on the bulletin boards, you know, announcements, things like that. But I religiously went and still go till this day. Every day I say a prayer, you know, for anybody that I've encountered, anybody that needs a prayer, or that I have a calling to just say a prayer for someone that I've never met or talked to. Just I want to reach out and let them know that I am here.
Wow, so you inspire people on the phone. I am thinking that it's not by accident that you're on the show and that there's so many people in our audience who have maybe had similar struggles and grew up in poverty or violence or single-parent households or abandonment and rejection and all those horrible tools of the enemy that he uses to stop us. So what would you say to people who are watching this show who might feel like, wow, that's great for her. I'm so glad that worked out for her, but that could never work out for me. I want you to look into the camera and inspire those people and say what you would say to them to get them to believe that God has a higher calling for them.
Definitely never say never. Never is a word that you should never use. Never, ever use. Go for your education. You know, you're gonna have hurdles that do come up. Things are always gonna come up in life. You know, and you have to understand that education does play a big part in your role. You know, whether you are looking for a better job, more pay, education is what makes you complete. That will show, you know, who you are, number one, and why you're a good asset to whether it's a company, to a family, whatever that might be. I always say, just go do it. You know, when you take that first step is always going to be the hardest. But once you get past that first step, you fly away.
Fly away, I love that. And I always tell my students, I teach 4th grade, but I tell them getting started is half the battle and then all the rest makes up the other half. And I love how you told people in our audience that first step is all it takes. If they will just be brave enough to take that first step, then they can fly away with the rest of it, and that's awesome. Thank you so much for being on our show, Maggie.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Walsh. I'm an Associate Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences at Azusa Pacific University. I would not be here without the education that the university system has provided me.
So one of the key objectives that we're trying always to develop in students and in ourselves as faculty in a Christian university is how to develop and maintain beneficial relationships. One of the words we use for that often is how do we live in community one with another. One of the beautiful things about God's creation is that He's created diversity. And unless we accept diversity in one another, I learn to appreciate and value and seek after the culture and experiences and wisdom and journey that other people who are different from me, very different from me, have had. What God has taught them, what God has revealed to them, what they know about the world that I have never even dreamed about. Unless we have a rich appreciation for that sort of diversity, what we miss out on is beauty. We miss out on wisdom and knowledge about what God has created in our world. And so learning to develop beneficial relationships and learning to live in community with one another is its own blessing for the individual. But it also is a way that we can actually demonstrate to the world that we don't have to be afraid of one another. That we really can find ways of mutual edification and mutual appreciation. I pray and I hope that the church, the community of Christ, could demonstrate that to the world in a way that we could take the lead. And because there's certainly, if there's anything in our world that needs to be improved and worked on for the benefit of everybody, is to learn how to love and appreciate and honor our neighbor. And that's one of the key teachings of Jesus. And if we could get that right, the world would be a much better place.
During the time of me transitioning from Warner Brother to other locations, other places, there was one place that I worked at was the Wilshire Ebell Theater. You know, they brought me on board to manage the catering department. I resigned my job at Warner Brother and took on this offer, which was very great. With God in my life, you know, I think that everything was possible. I met my wife at Warner Brothers, and when I met her, you know, she was a Christian in herself. So we start fellowshipping at the same church, and we got married. And my son, who was young teenager growing up, there was a tragic incident happened with him where he got killed. So he was 14, and at that point it's like my fate was so in limbo, because I'm like, God, why did you take my son, my life? It's like, why not me? Right after I lost my son. My wife went to the doctor like 3 weeks after I buried my son, and the doctor told her she was 3 weeks pregnant. It was a bittersweet moment trying to understand how great God is. And for me, I don't question God anymore about whatever. I know I lost my son, of course. There was a reason behind that. But of course, he gave me a daughter, that I love dearly. And, I just moving on with my life. I got a call from someone who I met back like maybe 10 years ago at Warner. And, he said, Clive, I got this project. And for years, I've been thinking about you. I have the project, but I can't move forward. It's like, I need your support. Anyway, I came here and I look around, and it just sounds good, and I became his partner. And after about a year, I realized it wasn't good for me, so I decided to step down. And I got a phone call from the landlord saying, Clive, we understand, we heard what happened. We're kind of concerned. Can we meet? They said, Clive, you still have a set of keys, huh? I said, yes, I still have a set of keys. He said, keep those keys, because the person that you were in business with is no longer here. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, well, he owed 3 months rent. And I'm like, wait a minute, because I didn't know all this. So he said, he was out of here. He said, if you have some money you want to reinvest in the business, it's all yours.
One of my job experience took me on a cruise line, and I was able to travel to different countries. Yeah, at that point I did a lot of different types of cuisine, Italian, French, American. Yeah, so it helps me to understand the different cuisine and how to put them all together and create my own cuisine, which what I do fusion. I created different dishes based on my experience with different cuisines.
I was back in here in about a week, and this is 4 years ago. I was back here, and I've been here for 4 years. So I changed everything around and rename it Brownstone Bistro, and Brownstone Bistro has been growing ever since.
Hi, I'm Professor Bob Dixon at the Master's College. Sound poets invest quite a bit of time and energy establishing a certain meter and rhyme to it. And I would not be where I am today without a higher education.
People need to see that whatever they do can be a ministry. It's ridiculous to think, oh, well, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a missionary, so therefore I'm really not serving God to the fullest. No, you may be serving God even more fully. Part of that is getting an education so that whatever it is that you do it to the glory of God, and you do it with excellence. The only thing worse than being, let's say, a teacher who is not faithfully using that platform as a witness is to being such a poor teacher that when you try to witness, nobody takes you seriously. If you're a firefighter, but you never put out a fire, it really destroys your witness. If you're a movie producer, but the movies you put out really stink, then it's not to the glory of God. So one of the things that education does is it prepares us to do what we do and do it well, so that then we have the credibility, we have the authenticity and the legitimacy to be at the top of our game. I mean, who do you want to listen to? Most valuable player, or the person who didn't make the cut? Who has the greater platform and the greater level of credibility to say, I lived my life in such a way and worked in my craft in such a way that I achieved the highest possible levels. But I did this also because this platform now lets me tell you about what's inside my heart. That's an effective ministry. And education and preparation is a part of getting to that place where the impact of the ministry is even greater.
We've heard some really inspiring stories of how people change their lives through education. By committing to finishing their degrees and focusing on their goals, these individuals excelled in their fields. But more than being successful in their careers, these people understood something even more significant: the importance of higher education in fulfilling their divine calling in life. That's something that has an eternal impact. I hope you enjoyed another look at how education truly is a higher calling.
My name is Clive Jackson, CEC, Brownstone Bistro. Thank you for supporting TBN and watching Education Higher Calling.
Is education for you? Well, if you're like me and so many other people I know, going to a college like this seems almost unattainable. But I'm here to tell you that's not the case. Thanks to the people at ministry.com, there are hundreds of opportunities that can help to make your dreams for a better life come true. It's all about taking that first step. Join us on ministry.com, where we can show you all the amazing tools that can make your education a reality. Ministry.com is here and easily accessible. What do you have to lose except for the opportunity to improve your life for the better? Check out ministry.com now.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Clifford, editor of Just Jesus. As a young believer, I really wanted to learn how to grow close to God. A good friend shared invaluable wisdom. If you really want to grow, read the words of Jesus. On behalf of Ministry.com, I want to thank you for watching Education, a Higher Calling. I also want to thank Trinity Broadcasting Network for the opportunity to bring this program to our partners. To support continued airing of this program, please send your loved gift or pledge of $20 or more to Trinity Broadcasting Network, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711. As a thank you, TBN will send you a copy of Just Jesus. Get to know your Savior. He is an amazing person. I'm Lindsay Clifford. Thank you again for watching and for your generous gift. God bless you.